accountability for no rubber stamps, for no decisions made out of public view, and for fiscal responsibility. Public good to me, did I say public good last time? Yeah, I did, sorry. Accountability, public good to make sure that city policies put residents first and not special interests. Sorry. I've already been working very hard for you, volunteering all my hours. I'm a college graduate. I've worked for both small and large businesses. I'm a small business owner. I've worked in HR. I've been a bookkeeper and an administrative assistant for real estate attorneys, so I understand budgets and contracts. My campaign is grassroots, and I'd be honored to have your support. I am running because I feel like our voice is not being heard. I'm here to listen to you, learn from you, and stand up for you. And as your commissioner, I will have an open door policy, and your priorities will be my priorities. Together, we can repair what's broken, rebuild trust, make Sarasota livable for everybody with a quality of life for all to enjoy. If you visit my website, voteforflow.org, you have over 25 of my 50+ speeches I've done, so you can see what I've been fighting for. A vote for me is a vote for you at City Hall. Let's give the citizens a seat back at the commission table. Vote for Flow, August 18th. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Yevgeny Khodorkovsky. It's the longest name on the ballot. You can't miss it. And I apologize to my fellow candidates that have heard this joke 10 times by now. And I appreciate Coconut for inviting us. I'm not sure if it's Cocoanut. I've been here since 2019. I haven't figured this one out yet. My parents have been here since 2012. They haven't figured it out either, so I don't feel so bad. I'm a software engineer. I've been doing this for about 20 years. I'm a pilot in training, and I volunteer in the community, serving seniors. I do like home repairs, landscape work, things like that in my own time. And I am running to bring accountability and representation back to City Hall. And what do I mean by that? So accountability, for example, we're spending hundreds of thousands on consulting that we can do ourselves. And we're starting vanity projects while simple things like safe sidewalks are not taken care of. And to be fair, this is a really nice neighborhood, but this is an enlarged seat, and there's a lot to the city that is not being handled properly. And there's other things like software we're paying for, we're not getting the value for, and it's just a lot of waste. And as an engineer, I just cannot let it go. And the point here is we cannot keep somebody accountable for things we don't understand. And I feel like my skills are really missing on the commission, especially the last few years where technology is taking over a lot of things. And we really could use somebody that understands how these things work. Representation. So citizens' voice is not being heard on the commission. And you can see it in the development process. You can see it in the commission meetings. Simple things like parking has been increased or expanded 9 times in the past 5 years. And every time there's a lot of citizens that come and talk as successful, smart people, business owners. I'm an engineer, homeowner, and the commission just doesn't even acknowledge sometimes. So that's the kind of accountability. And again, I'm not picking on the parking department. They're not the worst department or anything. They're just the most accountable because they have to come to the commission for every money increase. And so why am I qualified? So you'll hear candidates say, I'm the most qualified because I know the code, I know some laws and real estate, and I have the codes of each city in the world right here in the palm of my hand. And on the other hand, I can run a forecast model to see how a code change, a zoning change, can affect property tax revenue for the next 5 years. And last month, I deployed AI solutions that found waste in $2 billion for a Fortune 500 company. The thing is, this does not make me the most qualified or the smartest person in the room. And I have the discernment to understand that. And that's what I really want to bring to the commission, because the commission is a representative body. It should direct the city in the direction that you all want, that I all want as a constituent. And that's what's really missing. So to conclude, knowledge is cheap. It's on everybody's phones, it's on computers. Execution should be cheaper than what we're paying for it. And I can bring that knowledge to make that happen. And applied thinking is the thing that's the most expensive. And that's what we should be looking for in people that are should be on our commissioners. My website is yesonyev, so the three first letters of my name, .org, if you want to find out more, or just talk to me outside.
Thank you all. Good evening, and thank you, fellow candidates, for being here. My name's John Harshman, and let's start kind of simple. I am your neighbor, and that's not a title. It's not a talking point. It's just fact. 52 years ago, I hitchhiked into Sarasota with only $20 in my pocket, and the only plan I had was to visit my sister, who was then attending New College. Immediately fell in love with Sarasota. I put myself through college, working a lot of different jobs: construction, washing dishes, tending bar, waiting tables, planting trees. I wrote for a small newspaper. And after graduating from college, I started my own commercial real estate business, Harshman Company, in downtown Sarasota, which I ran for 40 years. Now, my career enabled me to receive a profound education in the city's complex land use and development codes, and it grew. And I watched the city as it grew. I had a front row seat to the growth of the city, and I watched the good, the bad, and the ugly as Sarasota grew. Now, the staff has all had the zoning code right in front of them in a book, on the commission, and on their phones, but they didn't know how to interpret it. The commission all had the zoning code in front of them with a book, on their phone or whatever, and they didn't know how to interpret it. And that's how we've gotten into this mess with development. So after I've lived for over 4 decades in the Bayview Heights neighborhood, we do not have a neighborhood association. During my last 40 years here, I've taught Taekwondo to hundreds of students and adults, won a national championship in sparring, and I've volunteered to serve on many advisory boards and not-for-profit boards, including Girls Incorporated chairman for 3 years, Pines Inc. of Sarasota chairman for 3 years, CRA advisory board chairman, Public Facilities Financing Advisory Board, where we recommended to the county recommendations on that very exciting topic of impact fees. I worked on the ballet board, the Humane Society, and you don't do that unless you truly love your community. And you are there to give back of your time, your treasure, and your talent, and demonstrating leadership and your commitment to the community's success. And so that's really why I entered this race. I decided to run after a 45-day listening tour, and I did what a lot of candidates that run for office skip. I listened to leaders in the neighborhoods, in the business community, in the arts community, in the environmental community, and almost across the board, everybody said that they were frustrated with the fact that City Hall was not listening to them, and that was the commission as well as staff. They're also frustrated with the way that development has gone in Sarasota. And so I'm here tonight not as a politician, because I'm not a politician. I'm here as your neighbor, and our neighborhoods are the lifeblood of our community, and your voices deserve to be heard, and that's why I'm running. Thank you. I'm John Harshman, and I appreciate your support.
Now we're at.
Mic back?
Yeah, take the mic back.
Just real quick, it's a directional mic, so you should do
like that. All right, so now we're at the portion where we're gonna ask the 2 questions that the board felt would be important issues. And so we'll ask the question and give each one of you 2 minutes to address it. And actually, if y'all don't mind, I'm gonna switch the order of them, just because I think it would be helpful. Should I do that, or should I stay with the order as it is? All right, I'll just stay with the order as it is. So the first question is, what is the number one issue that you feel needs to be addressed in the city of Sarasota? And how would you go about doing that? And so this time we'll start, John, from your end, and we'll be given each 2 minutes.
Can you all hear me? Do I need the mic? You do.
Do the mic, yeah.
Thank you. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, the one thing that I would like to, well, first of all, there are several things that I really want to work on. One is clean and safe. I want to make sure that our neighborhoods and our downtown are much cleaner and much safer than they are right now. I want to work on fiscal responsibility because we have just not had that. And I want to get into that code to make some changes to the code so that we get the development that we want and not the development that we don't want, as we've seen before. But the number one thing that I really want to work on is a cultural issue. And that's what we've all been talking about. And that's that the city, the people don't feel like that they're being heard at City Hall. And that's not just the commission, but that filters through staff. So why is that? And how did that happen? It started really about 3 or 4 years ago, and staff is running the show. And you all elect the commissioners as your voice, and the commission has abdicated their role as a policymaker and passed it on down to staff. And we've seen many instances where the staff has presented ordinances or something to the commission, and they'll start asking good questions, and then they'll get kind of circle talk from the staff, and then they'll rubber stamp it and go through. So how do we fix that? First of all, we set up the culture so that the commission listens to the citizens, hears the citizens, and then passes that on to the staff so that the staff is resident friendly, cultural concentric, and that they are attending to customer service. And we don't have that anymore. When we go to some of the workshops that we have at the city, like the traffic calming or the Main Street streetscape improvement, we sit down with staff and they tell you when it first starts, we're not going to take any questions and we don't want any kind of comments from you. So that needs to change, and that's a cultural change, and I'll work hard to make that change. Thank you.
Yeah, so I will refer to notes because you did send those questions ahead of time. So it's kind of a similar topic, and the core problem is that it's basically the commission has one job, it's to represent us, and the pattern is consistent. When a developer, consultant, and a project comes to the commission, they get a whole agenda item. When we come to the commission, we get 3 minutes, and sometimes get interrupted. Hopefully that won't happen again with the new rules. But so I don't want to beat a dead horse, but the downtown master plan, we spent a lot of money a year, and both the developers and the residents agreed that it was just not working. So things like that, and residents, they already were doing some of the commission job, did scrutinize the process, scrutinize the bids, and I think they were already doing that, so we should involve the residents more. So we have an amazing architecture university here that we can tap into and get feedback. We should, not bite more than we can chew. So we maybe adjust the plan in smaller steps, and that way, people that live there at the time will join the process and adjust it. And then another example, we put attention to like a lot of cool projects, but again, like I mentioned, a lot of the infrastructure, safe sidewalks, storm recovery, it's kind of on hold. And some of it, because of the different funds is supposed to fund it, but some of it is just priorities. So, we spend hours talking about the obsidian, more than that, but we don't talk about anything else, any fundamental municipal services. So businesses, again, parking is the most recent example, but they're struggling. Okay, it's 2 minutes. Okay. So, bottom line, representation is a feedback loop. You should tell the commission what you want. The commission tells the staff what they want. And that's what I want to restore. Thank you.
All right.
It's chair, the wheels on the shirt. So the biggest issue is the budget, but that's something this commission is going to handle before we get in. So to me, the next issue is overdevelopment and the lack of true affordable housing we're getting. about 2 months ago, I had a guest column in the Herald Tribune and was basically talking about the bonus density giveaway we gave to the developers in the corridors. We gave the developers 4 times the density for 11% affordable housing. Every other city in the state gave the developers 2 times the density for 25%. We gave 4 times for 11, they gave 2 for 25. We messed up. We are getting 100 units per acre, lot line to lot line, 75 stories tall, located adjacent to the single-family neighborhoods. With a simple zoning text amendment, we can roll that back. We have SB 180, which is we can't mess with anything that's given by right. But this bonus density we gave away is an option. It's not by right, it's an option, so we can change that. And as far as about affordable housing, right now, the affordable housing we're getting is 120% annual median income, a third there, a third at 100% AMI, and a third at 80%. Someone making the 120 AMI is targeting somebody making, well, supplementing somebody making 6 figures. That is never gonna fix our affordable housing crisis. Somebody earning $50,000 a year falls into the 60% AMI bracket. So we need to be targeting 80, 60, and 40% AMI. Thank you. And again, we could roll back that density bonus and let's truly work on getting some workforce housing for our workers. Thank you very much.
Thank you. There are a lot of issues this city has to deal with, specifically infrastructure, moving on from the hurricanes in 2024. But the one issue I think is the hardest to deal with, and which I would like to tackle and put the most energy in, is housing for workers. We are at one of the greatest deficits in any area. The AMI, which is the area median income, as Flo said, is 6 figures at this point. So the Live Local Act doesn't help that. SB 180 restricts us from doing anything significant in changing our code. But what we can do is we can invite people to build lower. You can't force them, but you can make it easier for them. You could put them first on an agenda, top priority. You can change the way they have to file for their forms. You put in a site plan and you get it through one, like DRC, the Development Review Committee, and from there, it moves on to the next level, but you have to resubmit it. We should start a portal. Jeff could start a portal, use his technology, and from there, streamline it, make it affordable. It's unaffordable for the builders to build affordable housing. And I think we need to do everything we can, and this won't be just the city. We have to just be a piece of the puzzle. Could use industry-specific housing. Look at Arts Alliance, which is housed in this building. They're doing something with One Stop, putting up housing for the people in the arts and culture organizations. Why can't the hospital do that? But we have to help them get there. We have to make it easier, make it as affordable as possible. So that is the issue I think is going to be the hardest to deal with, but is the one I would like to tackle starting immediately. Everything else will happen. We have a new city manager, all the infrastructure stuff, hopefully the budget and the mismanagement of finance will be taken care of, but housing for workers.
It's really hard to narrow it down to one specific thing that I would focus on. Our agenda, which is for Monday, we have over 3,000 pages. It's actually 3,225 pages to be exact. On that agenda for Monday, we are changing transportation concurrency. We're proposing to spend 51 million of your dollars on water and wastewater infrastructure. And we're having a second look at our special events ordinance to name 3 out of 25 agenda items for Monday. The city doesn't stop. It keeps going. I'm doing that work and I'm trying to focus on as many impactful items that are happening all at once. The budget is huge. The referendum is huge. Parks, protecting our parks and making sure that we can continue to have the parks that are infrastructure in our city that you all value, that you tell us that you value. Because parks are a major source of retaining and filtering water, because our bay and our bay water quality is important. What impacts our bay impacts our environment, impacts our economy. Stormwater, working with the county for stormwater is essential. I flooded, I don't know how many of you flooded, but I did, and I didn't love it, and I don't want to do it again. Making sure the citizens' voice is part of the development process. We can do it. We've been working on this for a long time, and if I am reelected, this is something that I hope second person will get elected who will support adding the citizens' voice back into the development process. I tried it once. It failed 2 to 3. I didn't have the commission's support because we are 5 people who make these decisions. So be careful who you will vote for, that they make that a priority. Your voice needs to be a priority for this commission. Thank you.
Thank you all. Now, before we go on to the second question, we decided, we being our board, I'm going to take just a minute to this next question deals with the Live Local law that was passed in 2023, which is quite convoluted and complicated. So I'm just going to read this just so that everyone can at least have a little bit of knowledge. And if you want more, I did print out more information about it on that second sheet, but don't get too lost in that. Just listen to this sort of general. The Florida Live Local Act was adopted in 2023 to encourage the construction of affordable workforce housing throughout the state. While the goal is to increase housing availability, the law significantly limits the authority of cities and counties over certain qualifying developments. The act and why the law is controversial. Supporters argue that the act is necessary to increase the supply of affordable housing and reduce housing shortages. Critics argue that it reduces local control over land use decisions and allows larger, denser developments in areas where residents and elected officials previously had greater discretion over growth. So our question to you all, that you love this one, is do you agree with that understanding, as I just explained it, that was passed in the Florida legislature in 2023? This act is now state law. So how do you believe the city of Sarasota should best respond? And Jen, we'll get to start with you.
Thank you. Thank you for that question. It's a good one. I would like to say that this Live Local, when it passed, I fought it bitterly. I worked with the Florida League of Cities so that we could try to file a glitch bill. That didn't happen. It didn't happen last year and it didn't happen this year. They tried to do a glitch bill, but that did not pass. So you need both houses, you need the Senate and the House to pass a bill. What the Live Local does is it completely undermines the local authority. It completely usurps all of our power as a home rule. And this year, the Live Local got worse. It was basically commercial, industrial, and mixed use. They added agricultural land and religious institutions to it. And it's been clear to us that they can leapfrog it. It's the highest height within a mile, the highest density allowed in the city, and the developer gets to build 40%, has to only build 40% at 120 AMI, which we've already established is not affordable housing. It's a developer giveaway. And they can build, so a mile from here, 18 stories, because we got right across the street 18 stories. And then a mile from that new one, they can leapfrog and build again. The really horrible thing is the agricultural land. The county is fighting that now. They're standing up to the state. I was just awarded a Home Rule Hero by the Florida League of Cities for my 8th consecutive year for advocacy at the federal and the state level, looking out for our community and for our home rule powers. So I'm very, very familiar with this bill and many of the other bills. But one of the good things, one of the good news is that the federal government just signed the housing bill. And that is going to be a huge help. Biggest bill passed in 30 years at the federal level to help create some real affordable housing unlike what the state just did to us, which is awful. So I do not, the question was, do I support it? No. Will I fight it? Yes, I will continue to do it. Thank you.
I agree. The Live Local Act has been nothing but horrible for, especially a city that is big and is as affluent as we are. I could understand if it was someplace rural and there were no tall buildings, but we started looking like Miami 10 years ago with these buildings. And that's not what I want. Live Local completely takes that control out of our hands. There's nothing we can do until it gets stopped. I understand that the county has agreed to deny all Live Local projects, but that's going to cost money because these developers will sue. And that's your money that they're going to use to defend against the lawsuit. So I'm not in favor of denying it right now, but advocacy is the best we could do. We need to move forward with that. I mean, if it truly gave us affordable housing, and we know it won't, then you could say, okay, we could accept it, but the whole 1 mile radius thing, it just destroys any type of semblance of what a community will look like. I mean, to keep moving that needle is really hard. And I was never for it. When I first heard about it, I was like, oh, great, 40% affordable housing. But when I heard where the AMI was at, I was like, can't do this. So I am against it. And I hope they repeal it as well as SB 180, because we are handcuffed in with what the state government has done to us.
So just like everybody else, I do not like the Live Local Acts. It's done by administrative approval. So if they check the boxes, they've taken everyone's voice out. Doesn't go to the planning board, doesn't go to the commission. You have no say. So we've lost control of how our city grows. And on face value, it looked like it was going to be something good. 40% affordable housing, yay. But then we found out it was going to be 120 AMI. Again, supplementing people making 6 figures. It's a developer's game right now. That's, well, actually, I want to back up to something. Oops, okay. Sorry. It's something.
Hey, I'm trying to get something new.
Okay, sorry about that. What was that? I checked it. So again, it was a developer's giveaway. It was a game that the state played. And now the developers are playing even more games with the affordable housing part of it. So affordable housing is supposed to be spread throughout a development project. So nobody knows who's living in the affordable unit. It creates a stronger, more diverse community. We have Saravella that's being built right now. And they're building 2 towers. 1 tower is going to be market rate and 1 tower is going to be affordable. So what we need to do is go back and look at our zoning codes and figure out how we stop this from happening. And take the stigma away from our low income residents. Do not like Live Local. Again, this county has decided to push back on the state. In April, they made that decision at the county commission meeting, and now they're being sued. So the county's budget is much bigger than the city's budget. So I don't think that's the route the city should go, unless maybe we work with other municipalities and we have power in numbers. So not a big fan of Live Local. We actually have a project on Bay Vista and Tuttle. The temple, like Jen said, they expanded it to religious institutions, and we're dealing with that over in my neck of the woods. Thank you very much.
So definitely a bummer, this law. And we can just, complain. We should definitely vote for people that will make a majority with Jen to remove it when the time comes next year. But there's still some things we can do, okay? One of them, we should really enforce the eligibility criteria, because if you talk to anybody that's involved in activism like the Stop Growth Now, and they'll say that staff is taking the sides of developers on that. I don't know why, but definitely put people in staff that will actually work for residents and for the commission. Another one is a big one, big gotcha, so the compatibility criteria. That's how the Obsidian got rejected for now. So that's a big one that gives a lot of leverage for the commission to actually kind of, well, you need to add this, add some more parking, add some trees, things like that. So it's very important and we should use it, not being used right now for Live Local projects. Community involvement, so we should definitely institute some kind of public, debates step in the application process and announce things before they happen. That has not been happening. We can put signs on the site to say, hey, stuff is going to be built here, and for people to come and provide feedback. We cannot make it more restrictive, but we can incentivize developers developing, I don't know, where areas that have largely ignored. So North City looks like 20 years ago, and those people deserve services and quality of life just as we do. And finally, if everything else fails, people will do what they get away with. And we can get fancy, like we can form strategic partnerships with organizations that have lawyers, have money that they can donate for the legal process to stop these projects. Thank you.
Thank you. So the only thing that I would add to your description of it is that there is a sunset on in 2032. There should be sunsets in every single one of our major land use laws. Unfortunately, we don't have those in the city of Sarasota. So this was a horrible hijacking of your rights when it first came out. There was never a time when I looked at it and I said, oh, on face value, maybe it's okay. It was never good. And it was absolutely pushed through by the building industry. And the only way that we can really stop it short time is that we can develop our relationships with our local delegation that goes to Tallahassee and impress upon them that they need to file regulations that repeals it or at least gives communities the right to opt out of it. And there are about 7 or 8 different communities across the state that are suing the state on this now. We'll be able to, if they're successful, we'll be able to benefit from their suit. I don't know that it really makes sense for us to spend the money on it now, but this was a horrible taking of your rights. And there are 3 projects in the city right now that are going through this, and the Adagio, the one at Temple Beth, and then also there's one on Fruitville Road. And this is something that unfortunately we're going to have to live with until we can possibly fix it. But there were a number of zoning code issues that were brought up here. Those need to get fixed, and we can't just go in there and arbitrarily just take away rights that give somebody value because we're going to get sued on it. But there are things that we can do in the code that limit the ability for the developers to be able to use those loopholes. Now, if there's any saving grace that we can see out there, is the market is starting to slack a little bit, and that's a good thing. So, but that doesn't solve our immediate problem of having this thing hang over our head and take your rights away. Thank you.
So now we're going to
Laura.
Right. No,
I didn't first, but-
no, you would.
All right. So this is, now we're gonna take a 5-minute break. If anybody had a question that you wrote down while we're talking, just raise your card up, we'll come get it from you. And during this 5 minutes, we're just gonna kind of sort through and make sure we kind of eliminate duplicates and things like that. And then, so let's take 5 and come back. Well, we still have 2 minutes. Of course.
Lightning.
Okay, so here we go.
No, that's fine.
Joan, our new secretary, we
just have 4 questions.
We only have 4 questions, so you guys, what we're gonna do is give each person an opportunity to answer. Keep yourself to like 1 minute or less. You get a few more bonus points if it's less. And then after those 4 minutes, if we have time, my goal is to get us out of here by 7:45 because we actually use this, they let us use this room for free. They only asked us to be out by 8. Yeah. So we're trying to get bonus points.
Panel candidates. What are your strategies for ensuring? What are your strategies for ensuring that minorities and underrepresented people or less vocal in neighborhoods have their voices heard in city decisions? You can each have 1 minute and pass it back.
That's my question, by the way.
That's Josh's question, thank you.
Check. So two things. First of all, the fastest growing sector of population under 40. You know, its average sort of age of Sarasota was like 65, 70, I don't know, 10 years ago. Now it's around 45. So we do need to change communication strategy for those folks. You have to reach them by social media, more push style communication, because they're not gonna go to the city website, subscribe and figure out what email chain it talks about what. So that's one thing. And then the other one, neighborhoods. So I already started talking about it. A lot of the neighborhoods are largely ignored, and you know, there's downtown core and the key. It's super nice, but if you go to Fruitville and Beneva, there's people with drug problems, and there, first of all, the safety has to be taken care of, but also a reach out to everybody. So that's my strategy.
Thank you.
Well, I'm running to represent everybody. So anyone can come see me. Anyone can pick up the phone, call me. Anyone can email me. Unfortunately, a lot of the underserved residents, a lot of them do not have money and they don't have computers. And I know that from knocking on doors. So I'll say, visit my website. I don't have a computer. So that does exist out there. So then we have to then focus on some snail mail. But I am here to represent everybody. I'm here to listen to everybody, and I will be everybody's voice. Thank you.
This is a great question, because what I think we need in the city, I know we were trying to embark on a downtown master plan. We need a master plan that encompasses District 1 as well as District 3. Those two districts are the forgotten districts. And if we do that, we'll be able to work with the community and their leaders and get to understand what they want in their neighborhoods. Specifically, the Newtown community, they have a great project on the docket there with the new Sarasota African American Cultural Coalition's museum that they want to put in there. And I think that's how you start including communities like that, Newtown. You start that, people want to go to the museum from anywhere. And when you go to the museum, you want to have something to eat. Then you get restaurants. And if people are spending that much time there, then you get shops. You increase the vibrancy and the economic impact for those. And we have to be out in the communities and making sure they understand that we're there for them.
So I'm gonna jump off of what Rob was just saying. We have a Newtown redevelopment master plan, but it does need to be updated. It's from 2018. So I would love to see that updated. And also with the North Trail Redevelopment Partnership, that includes our universities and institutions along the North Trail. So they are engaged, they will be engaged, and that is a way to reach the young folks in our community through that. Also, there's the Newtown CRA, and those meetings were moved from City Hall to Robert L. Taylor, putting the meetings where the community is. That was another big step that the City Commission took. So there are a number of efforts that we can continue to do outreach and to involve the entire community of the city of Sarasota.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm also running for everybody, and when I talk to people in the community, everybody says that they're not being heard. And again, that's a culture issue that we'll deal with that as we get in there. But some of the things that we can do, we can maybe start having a town hall meeting in the different districts so that and I understand that we have sunshine laws, so the commissioners can't be there without a meeting, but we can have that district commissioner there, or having a town hall meeting so that we can engage with the population. And then when we are doing these different master plans in the area, they're informed about that, and they have the opportunity then to put their name on some list so that they're getting either an email, a snail mail, or some other text, some other communication. Two biggest problems in business is a lack of parking and bad communication, and we have both. Thank you.
Yeah. Perfect. Next question is a two-parter. Sorry. Next question is a two-parter, but they relate. Part one, do you believe downtown Sarasota is currently being overdeveloped, underdeveloped, or developed at the right pace? And part two goes along with it. Why do you feel that way? And what steps will you take to address the concerns of residents that are not fans of the surge in development?
Want to start? Sure. So, overdevelopment is another one of those issues that's on everybody's mind. We have codes in place, and you can't just arbitrarily go in there and change the codes. You can change some things in them, but you can't change things that decrease the value of properties because you're going to get sued. Am I happy with the number of projects that are coming online? No, and most of this was put in place 10 years or so ago when they, like the Quay property, when they gave that a master plan with 700 units, 50 units an acre. And at that point, they wanted all this development, and then be careful what you wish for. So we got that mess. There are some things in the code that we can change that will slow down the development and will also give the development that we want, so that we don't have developments like the Obsidian that was proposed on Palm Avenue. Thank you.
So code changes are pretty hard with the SB local SB 80 or live local SB 80, and look, nobody likes the city losing its charm. And I moved here in 2019, and just a few short years, it's changed so much. I don't like it personally at all, but we do have a master plan for downtown, and we should engage the community and see what they want to do, because I'm running to represent. I'm actually going to try to suppress my personal preference, but yeah, I hate it, just like most people. But there's some things they can do, like I mentioned before, and just make sure you stay engaged and tell us what you want to do, and we're just going to do it within,
Can I just clear a word? No, I was wondering, do you use code for
zoning codes, but there's code of ordinances, and there's the massive download.
Place the word code? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Because the zoning is definitely a specific.
Yes. So what I'm referring to is zoning text amendments, things like that. Okay.
Excuse me, ma'am, there is a zoning code, and then there's also development codes that are really a separate but much more specific about how each individual property can be developed.
Yeah, they're currently all restricted by these two laws.
So it's complicated.
Yes, I think we're overdeveloping downtown. But years ago, actually 1989, when I moved here, downtown was mostly boarded up. And we decided that we need to revitalize downtown, and so we started building residential. Have we gone too far? Yes, but unfortunately, as everyone said, our codes and SB 180 handcuff us. So let's take a good look at our zoning codes, see what we can tweak to make it better. But yes, we are overdeveloping. Thank you.
Overdevelopment in our area, to me, is what's really happening in the county. I think what we have is a height issue and a density issue, because it's basically redevelopment of sites that already had buildings on it. And I think one of the biggest issues is because of the Live Local and SB 180, we are stuck making it unaffordable to build buildings that are less than the maximum they could do. That's why we're getting 18 stories. They're the only people, the developers that could put all this money into building that high are only going to build the maximum they can, because they're going to get the most out of it. They're going to have someone buy their condo, luxury condos. And as we've seen with all the most recent surveys, we're number one. We're number one retirement, number one travel destination. I think we need to hopefully get rid of those two codes of Live Local and SB 180, and we need to move forward, and hopefully we can invite and make people be able to build a smaller building moving forward, not just the 18-story buildings.
So for my 1 minute, we have inherited, what we have now downtown is a product of 2002. That was a master plan that was adopted then, and that's what we have now, and that's what we are inheriting. There are certain property rights that are law, and we cannot take away. What we can do is continue down the road of things like historic preservation. We can change our code to make a stronger historic preservation. We can change our code to protect our trees more. We can change our code to expand and support public art more. These are some of the pieces of what we can do to continue to make our downtown charming, walkable, and a beautiful place to be, so that it can continue to be vibrant and desirable. We also have the downtown master plan. The ad hoc committee was sort of paused. Let's make that committee go transparent in its procurement process, start it up again, and so that we can change our downtown master plan to something we want it to be, and sunset the one we have now, which was adopted in 2002.
Okay, next question, panel. Do you believe the state mandated changes in property taxes will affect budget, and how would you offset the deficit? That makes sense to you?
Oh, yes, it does make sense. So with the referendum, I have to be very, very careful. This is gonna be Amendment 3 on the ballot. So my role is educate, educate, educate. I am not allowed to advocate. They can advocate all they want. They can say whatever they want. I cannot. So I'll look to them to use strong language, which I cannot do because I'm a sitting commissioner. It'll be called Amendment 3. It will increase your homestead exemption the first year from 50 to 150, the second year up to 250. It also restricts, it also defines what a municipality and a county can spend your property tax dollars on. And a lot of those things are education, so schools, we don't do, public safety, we do, and sort of core services. What are those? Left to be defined and challenged. I will say core services are parks and infrastructure. Parks are infrastructure, so there will be challenges, there will be cuts to our budget, this is a fact. And we are planning for that in our budget cycle right now at the end of this month. 27th and 28th of July are our 2 budget workshops. Please attend and listen. That's when we're going to be talking about all of this.
I'm not in favor of the Homestead Reduction Act. It will hurt the city, not as greatly as it'll hurt the county, but it would take a decent amount of money from our general fund. And I think what we can do is we need better fiscal responsibility. We can't start projects where we put a lot of money into it and then cancel them, because that's taxpayer dollars that just go away. Like the Bobby Jones Clubhouse, that was $676,000 spent up front, and the project got paused or canceled at that time. And the Performing Arts Center has close to $2 million into it just for the renderings that we did with Renzo Piano. So we can't start projects like that. That's where I would make sure if we're gonna start a project, let's complete it. We already put the money into it. Let's not waste it and then move back and start something new, which might cost more in the long run anyway.
So the city cannot run without property taxes. 51% of our general fund comes from property taxes. The good news is this isn't a total exemption that we thought it was going to be. But it will be, we will be getting less money for our budget. I'm not in favor of this at all, and it's not a tax cut, it's just a tax shift. We will have to get the money from somewhere. There may be an increase in sales taxes. As Jen mentioned, our parks, our libraries all get funded through this. We may have to pay a fee to enter our parks. So we're gonna, again, the current commission is going to have to really do a line item by line item for this budget that's coming up at the end of the month. And again, we need property taxes. So I am educating and advocating to everyone I talk to let them know this is not a tax cut, it's just a tax shift. Thank you.
So I think a lot of people are trying to educate you, and I think we need to break it down just a little bit. So city population in five years grew 5%. The tax revenue grew by 25%, and that's adjusted for inflation. It doubled otherwise. Now the city staff grew by 20%. So I'm not accusing anyone of anything, but the residents are absorbing the cost of growth. Okay, so the first year is going to be 3% of the general fund, just 3 million. Okay, out of 108. So we can find inefficiencies. I've been looking at the budget, inefficiencies, attrition, people retire. We can, find the 3 million the first year. And the second year, we can find things that we can cut slower. So it's not going to be the end of the world. There's things that we can reduce slowly and mindfully. But it's not, we're not going to cut parks and public safety and so on. So that's my opinion.
So, just to be clear, what the ordinance talks about, or what the referendum would talk about, would be that your homestead exemption would go from 50,000 to 150,000 at 2027, and to 250 in 2028. So who does that benefit the most? The person that owns the house at 500,000 or less or so. It doesn't help the person that owns a $2 million house or $3 million house. So just to be clear, that's where it comes from. The state is doing this because municipalities all over the state, they accepted the annual ad valorem increase as if it was their right, and they didn't budget it well. On average, for the past 10 years, the city has gotten about an 8% increase in ad valorem tax revenue. That's because our values have gone up. We've had all these new condos come down. So that's really where it's coming from. It's forcing the municipalities to be a little more diligent with your tax dollars so that they're spending them much more judiciously. And it's going to be $3.1 million 2027 deficit to the city, and another 3.1 in 2028. So we'll live through this, but it is a wake-up call to the city to be able to manage their budget a little bit better. Thank you.
We're doing a comeback sentence.
So you get me out of that.
Okay, do you have any other questions? Does anybody have any questions from the floor? I would. Yeah. Right.
I'm just curious if anybody's willing to give their opinion on the expansion of the. Yeah, how does everybody feel about the expansion of the paid parking? I can't believe it. I'm sick of it. I don't go downtown. If I have to pay to go to the beach, I'm out of here. Just saying.
Let's let everybody respond to that. Before you all leave though, we've got 3 items on the agenda that we have to do before you leave.
Do you want us just to make it a yes or no question?
There's a workshop, a city commission workshop I called for the Monday meeting. It's gonna be on August 31st, starting at 10 a.m. We have a whole bunch of items on the agenda, and we're taking suggestions about how we're gonna redo our parking department. Please do.
Not in favor of paid parking, especially for citizens, here. If we need to keep money in parking, I hope it's not just to keep the meters. If we're paying for the meters, and that's why we're paying for parking, I'm against paid parking.
So I guess it's not a yes or no question. I am against paid parking. 1942 was the first time we put parking meters on Main Street, 160 meters, and a few months later they came out because the merchants were unhappy. We've been doing this for over 80 years. It's an enterprise fund and it doesn't pay for itself. It hasn't paid for itself. In the last 5.5 years, the parking director went down to the commission asking for an expansion in the parking meters, increase the rates, and an expansion of the hours, just to try and make it pay for itself because it's an enterprise fund. So no, it's time to listen to the downtown merchants who are up against residents that are now not going downtown because of the paid parking and going to Lakewood Ranch, Waterside, and UTC. So let's take care of our downtown merchants and let's remove the metered parking. Thank you.
So I've been talking about parking before it was cool, like 6 years. That's what made me pay attention to the city commission. And it's another one of those things, we built all these garages for the growth around us. And now the residents that go downtown to get coffee, they pay $100 a month instead of just having free parking. So definitely for residents, free. If we're gonna keep the meters, we have to rebalance it away from the merchants, only, focus on the high usage times and so on. So there's ways to do it, but if I could do it, I would do it free.
So this has been an issue ever since they put in the parking meters, last time on it, 7, 8 years or so ago when Mayor Atwell was there. And we fought it at that point. And interestingly enough, the community was kind of living with it until the commission did what they just did, which was increase the hours so that now there's no free parking on Sunday. It starts at 1 o'clock, and they also increase the fees for people that violate. But Jen, thank you and the commission for taking a second look at this. I appreciate that. We did a Facebook video on this, and my 2 big issues was that the parking department did not look internally first to see if there were cost savings within their department. They just went to the commission and said, I've got these expenses that I've got to cover, so let's pass it on. And they did not talk to the merchants out on St. Armand's, and they didn't talk to the merchants on Main Street. And that's why people are saying that they're not being heard, because they weren't even talked to about something that impacts them so much. So I think that we can find other solutions for covering these expenses. Why the parking department didn't have reserves for their elevators, it just makes no sense. If anybody that manages property always has reserves for roofs and all kinds of mechanicals, but they didn't have them for the elevator. So there needs to be some significant changes there. Venice doesn't charge for parking. Naples doesn't charge for parking. So there are ways of doing it. Lakewood, UTC doesn't charge for parking. Of course, they charge their tenants in their CAM because you still have to clean it and light it and so forth. But there are different ways of funding this than passing it back on to our residents. Thank you. No, I'm against it.
Taking a lot of tickets. That's how they're making the money. Not of the theater, but of the tickets.
And the ticket price.
They're non-stop. They're running around non-stop. I see that every day.
Yes.
Other circle. Any more questions? Any questions?
All right. I think we're all done. Let's give a round of applause to